Hey guys, this is going to be kind of an oddball video that I'm making. Instead of the music backdrop, which drowns out my voice, I decided to do a toy background and just go through it and see what y'all remember as when you were young and first started out wargaming and Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing and all that neat stuff. So I started putting together some stuff to going through, of course, I'm going through the basement, and I brought a lot of books down to the bookstore to donate them, that kind of thing. And I'm listening to some podcasts and stuff about Dungeons and Dragons and that kind of neat stuff. And I had this old Dungeons and Dragons set right here. And I opened it up, and I noticed there were some things missing here and there. So I decided to try and reassemble the dice. And this is what this is about. It's about dice. Some of my best wargaming experiences were at the roll of dice. And we seldom ever talk about dice and what they do, or how they affect things, and all that neat stuff. So I just wanted to throw some quick, fun, dicey thing together, and just run through experiences in dice. I mean, we've all had them. We play with dice. These dice right here, these wee ones and these mid-range ones here, are all the dice I used when I was wargaming. Now, when I first started wargaming, I had a lot of these dice because you could get them really cheap. And what I did as a kid, because we used to throw things at soldiers and knock them down, and so I used dice to form a defensive perimeter for my troops, and I super glued these things. And I made castle walls out of these things like this right here. Now, granted, I was like 11, 12, whatever. And I seriously used all these dice. Not these here. These are what's left over. But I seriously used these dice to make castle walls. And I super glued these things. And at the time, it was called crazy glue, at least for us here in the States. And crazy glue, you know what I mean? They had to picture the guy with the helmet, the hard hat, being stuck to whatever, to some iron girder. But this is what I would do. I would make this silly thing here, and I would crazy glue them together, and I put my soldiers behind them, so when my buddy threw the blocks, it would hit this and not my soldiers, and they would live. So that was my first experience wargaming with dice. Now, why we just didn't throw the dice at the soldiers, I don't know, but we used small wooden blocks. So, my first introduction to using dice. As I got older and I read Charge, I realized that, wow, these dice can be used in other ways. And that's when I really started getting into movement and inches. And I know Europe used millimeters and stuff. But here in the States, it was mostly, inches, feet, that kind of thing. So we weren't really into the metric measurements. So as a young one, I started using these dice, and these dice were what I used for my wargaming. Now, as I got older, and I got into Dungeons and Dragons in the service, then we started using the dice here, all different 4-sided dice, your 12-sided dice, your 100-sided dice. Your 12, we already said the 12. What do we got? We got the 10-sided dice. Where you be at? Here you go. Here's a 10-sided dice. You get 2 of these, and you could get a percentage roll out of that. You know, it could either be 57 or 75 or whatever. So you use 2 different colored dice, and you say, okay, these are the 1s, these are the 10s, and you come up with 79%. So here I am in the basement trying to put this set back together again. And as I do, I'm going through all these dice. I'm going, where did I get all these dice from? I have no clue what this dice is. It's got all these little squiggly lines and half moons and pink clovers and pink hearts or whatever they are. Yellow moons, green clovers, pink hearts. So I have no idea where this lucky charm came from. So I remember these. These are the Inquisitor dice for that skirmish game that I showed you a little while ago. Then we got, you know, I started at the 40K, and these dice came from 40K. So that came from there. This is all magic life counters, you know, they call them spin down counters. And they're 20-sided dice. Again, we got some 40K dice here. These are Battlefleet Gothic dice right here. And these right here, guys, are the old Rogue Trader Jam dice. When it was a Rogue Warhammer 40K, Rogue Trader there. And then they came out with the second edition, and that's where these dice came from. So you have these, and you have these, you get the misfires, and then, of course, these come later on with the 2-hit and your scatter die. So these were your old Warhammer stuff. I have no idea what these things are. Shame on me. But I have no idea. I don't know whether it's Batman, the old 1960s Pow, Bam, Wham, or whatever these things are. But I'm assuming 8, 10, 2, 4, 6, 8, who do we appreciate? So I have no idea what that is all about. But they're in... It's just strange. They're increments of 2. So now we got these. I got at the Museum of Science a couple of years ago when me and the wife went on the boat tours, the duck tours in Boston, and I thought these were cool, so I picked those up. This is when I was having some erectile dysfunction or whatever, so I got these really big dice. I don't know. I don't know if I have to bleep that out or what. But all of a sudden, I got into this craze that bigger was better. So I ended up grabbing these huge dice. I know that's not right, but oh boy, yep. So I don't know what got into me, you know. So hey, whatever. So I got these huge dice there. And then we got some Dungeons & Dragons dice here that I'm trying to figure out what goes with what. As I'm trying to reconstitute this game, which I have... Everything is back in order here except for these dice. Now I got to figure out what dice is going where. So I have all these. I have these blue thingies, and I have this black and purple thing. And I've got these, I don't know why I've got so many 10-sided dice that are the same colors, but I do. And then I've got some that looks like they're definitely sets. If this is another 12, then, okay, this doesn't go there, but that's 3, so that's an extra one there. Here's some yellow ones here. These look like they go together there. And then I've got some other ones over here and here, which trying to work my way through. And look at this cool one. This is a football one, and this is a 6-sided dice, and it's in the shape of a football. Ain't that cool? I don't know where this came from. Looks like a rabbit turd, but hey. It's definitely neat. So, that's what I'm doing. That's just a little a little walk down dice memory lane. But if you can remember, you know, it's funny because in miniature wargaming, you want to roll a 6. You know, if you're the attacker, you want to get a 6. I remember in Warhammer, rolling a 6 on a penetration shot meant you blew the thing up. It was a 6-inch explosion, and it was, so the 6 was, you know, it was really cool. And then in Dungeons and Dragons, it was rolling a natural 20. Now, if you could roll a natural 20, man, you were it. You were the man. You were Conan. You know, you were Thor. You were Blade. You're just awesome. You were the man, or you were the woman. You were the elf, the dwarf, or whatever you want. The cleric, the fighter, the mage, you name it. But when you rolled a natural 20, then you could talk about things. So you had that in Dungeons and Dragons. In the early days of Warhammer, you didn't want to roll the jam. And oh, Necromunda as well. Necromunda had these. Forgot all about that. These two dice here I stole off my buddy Ron. And whenever we played Warhammer, he had at least 20 to 30 of these orange dice, and they were unbeatable. There was nothing he couldn't do with these, and I swear to God, he must have had them blessed, cursed, or whatever, because these things worked like crazy. So, eventually, we ended up, I got my own. See, I got my crystal dice, and he had these orange dice. I don't know where all those crystal dice went, but boy, they were a pain in the ass to look when you rolled them. You're always fighting to see the pips on them, and it's like, oh, what did I roll? But I remember he left these behind, and I never gave it back to him. I must have found them underneath my table or something. So I kept them. And I got some weird oddball colors here and there. And then what else we got? So it looks like. And then we had these things here. These things, Games Workshop came out where you took, instead of using the dice like this, you put on your tanks and stuff. You could, if it was immobilized, you know, you go, okay, 1, it's immobilized. And then they decided to come out with, oh, here we go, look, it's immobilized. So instead of doing the dice thingy, you could actually put these on. And I've got a few of these somewhere around, but they're probably in my Warhammer stuff. Then you have broken weapon, can't fire, immobilized, stunned, shaken, and all that other neat stuff. So it actually, the number actually coincides with the number that's in the rule book. Not the new rule book, but the old ones. The new edition, it's weird. It's got wounds now instead of. I won't even get into it. So that's. I guess that's it, guys. And it's just a trip down memory lane. I was going through these dice, and I was laughing at myself. And you know, in Dungeons and Dragons, you don't want to roll a 1. A 1 is like a critical fail. And back in the day, in the first edition, if you rolled a 1, you were like, it was done. It was over. You did some. You had to roll on the fumble table or whatever that table was. But it was fun. It was fun. And I just got a kick out of it, and I figured I'd throw something together just for kind of grins and giggles and stuff. But yeah, so that's it. That's what we got. So we got a 15-minute video on dice and what it means to me. And I hope you guys had a little laugh out of this. There is some cool stuff, and look at all these dice. I mean, come on. How often do we talk about dice? We talk about our miniatures, we talk about our games, and we talk about everything else, but we don't talk about our dice. If it wasn't for our dice, where would we be? So, from the basement, I hope you enjoyed this silly video, and let's see what I think next week I'll probably throw some Warhammer stuff on the table and see what kind of armies I have and show you those things. But, that's what we're looking at, guys. Dice, games, playing, and just having a ball. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in a few. I'm actually getting through all these videos pretty quickly. I mean, I'm going through a bunch of boxes and stuff, and I got to throw all over. The garbage man already came, so now I got to break all these boxes down and take care of that stuff, and we'll go there. And then we got all this stuff under here that we got to go through as well. So that right there's all my broken down Napoleonics, which I finally got them. These are the 172nds up on the shelves. So they're off the table and on the shelves. Up here, I believe, are the Belgians that I just based. So they need to be painted, and I will do some touch-ups when I can. I'm just trying to get everything organized now, and we'll see what happens. My son thought it was funny that I had this set up down here. German tanks running through 172nd La Hassat. You know, and this weird thing here, you know, taking out the Sherman over there. So,